Time now to get to Brazil, where we can speak to South American football expert Tim Vickery. Tim, brilliant to see you as always. I want to start with news reaching us from Tottenham this hour that they are in talks with Rosario Central for Argentina striker Alejo Veliz. Tell us a little bit more about this player and a bit more about this move.
Well, I have to declare a personal interest here because I'd love for Tottenham to get it right in the transfer window. It's been a hard few years, my friends. It's been a hard few years. In the insignificance of my opinion, I have some doubts here. Veliz is a 19-year-old strapping target man type of centre forward. Now, we've seen quite a few out-and-out goal scorers from Argentina come over to English football. In the last few years, maybe Figueroa at Birmingham, Ferreira at Newcastle, Boselli at Wigan, Caleri at West Ham, Carrillo at Southampton. And as I read out this list of names, you're probably saying who?
Yeah.
Because none of them made an impact. That type of player who doesn't offer a great deal apart from goal scoring, coming straight in from South America or from Argentina, that type of Argentine centre forward has consistently struggled in Premier League football. And Veliz, well, maybe I'm being harsh on him because I saw plenty of him this year playing for Javier Mascherano's Argentina under-20 side, who really didn't do well at all. The side didn't function. They were a huge disappointment, both in the qualifiers and in the World Cup. Under 20 level on home ground, and he scored some goals with some towering headers. That's what he does best, and he can lead the line. But I didn't see enough there to make me think, yes, this is a player who is already ready for the Premier League. He scored goals this season in Argentine football, and the goals tally is getting better year by year. But the strength of the Argentine First Division is not what it was. So as yet, in the insignificance of my opinion, I'm unconvinced that this is someone who can step in straight away and do well in the Premier League.
Well, I think the key line when we were talking about this news coming out of North London is that he could actually be loaned back to Rosario. So maybe that fits in with what you're saying, that he's maybe not ready for the Premier League. But like you said, he's 19. Is there potential there, Tim?
Well, yes, there is, because strapping physically and those headers that he's capable of, they are impressive. So there's something there to work with. It's always a gamble when you buy, especially when you buy straight in from South America. That's why the fee usually is much lower. And historically, the Premier League clubs, they've been more inclined to do secondary scouting. Wait until the player succeeds in Portugal or something, and then buy him in. If you're buying straight in from South America, you usually pay less because there's that factor. Is he going to adapt? Which at the moment, no one knows the answer to.
Right. I think you've killed any Spurs fans' optimism that they might have had about 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Are things a little bit more positive for Liverpool? Because we know that Andre has emerged as this target for them. What can you tell us about this deal?
Well, first of all, they've got to get the deal done, and there's a complication here. Money talks, but how loudly does it talk when the club are looking to win the South America's Champions League, the Copa Libertadores, for the first time in history? They're in the knockout stages. They should get through next week against the Argentina's juniors. Then the quarterfinals right at the end of the month, just before the window slams shut. So that is a potential complication with this deal. If Fluminense really put they know they have to sell him. If they don't sell him in this window, they're going to have to sell him in the next. But the game of poker here, that the stakes are raised by the fact that Fluminense really want to keep him while they're still in the Copa Libertadores.
No, it could go right down to the wire then, couldn't it? Just Tim, what will he offer, just for Liverpool fans? What kind of player is he?
Well, there's a reason that he's probably the top of many clubs' wish lists from South America at the moment. He's a defensive midfielder who, the way that Fluminense play, they're very, very front-loaded. They're very unorthodox side. And the way that they play means that they leave a huge amount of space to cover. And he's the man who has to cover that space. So he's quick. He's quick around the field. He's quick running back. They also pass out from the back in almost suicidal manner, which means that he's continually having to receive the ball close to his own goal under pressure. So these have really honed skills that are useful for a Jurgen Klopp side, that defend high line, that space there to cover. So and he's very nearly went to the World Cup. He was in contention to go to the World Cup. He subsequently played for Brazil. And you could certainly see him slotting right in with his physical, technical attributes, that capacity to cover space, to pass the ball out of defence under pressure. You could certainly see him fitting in to Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool.
Or if he doesn't end up at Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, are there any other players that the club are being linked with?
Well, there's one who I think is really flowering just in the last few months, Pablo Maia of São Paulo, who's 21. He's been linked with English clubs in the last transfer window. He's been linked with Fulham, with West Ham, with Brentford, with Nottingham Forest. What Pablo Maia is a kind of central midfielder who's perhaps more similar in style to Fabinho. And he's not quite as tall as Fabinho, but what he does, he's in front of the back four. He doesn't quite have the defensive vigour of Andre, but he distributes the ball very well. He can orchestrate the play from that position in a similar kind of style to that which Fabinho did so well, bringing the attacking fullbacks into the game. So he would certainly be an option. But as I say, it's not only Liverpool who may well be interested in Pablo Maia of São Paulo.
OK, just moving on from Liverpool, we're expecting Crystal Palace to make a signing soon. Mateus Franca from Flamengo. What can you tell us about him?
Well, the first thing I'll say that there's a little squiggle on the end of the C. So it's França, Mateus França. Now, this one needs a bit of context because he's leaving Flamengo. Flamengo here in Rio, where I'm speaking to you from, the reigning South American champions. They're a huge club. And their business model over the last few years has been produce promises, sell them to Europe, and in that way you finance your squad, bringing lots of players back from Europe. This model really started with Vinicius Jr., Lucas Paquetá, a fellow called Heinier, who went to Real Madrid, who hasn't really come off yet. And Mateus França is the latest taxi off the rank. They've got such a deep squad. And what he's an attacking midfielder. He's strong on the ball. There's talent there and real potential. But at the moment, certainly compared with Vinicius when he moved, and Paquetá when he moved, he's done less. Because the squad is so deep at Flamengo, it's very hard for him to get a game. Most of the games that he's played have been when they've put out second-string sides or just a few minutes off the bench. And in recent times, it's been hard for him to get that. It's been difficult for him to build a career with Flamengo because he's always been the one who's going to be sold. So he hasn't done yet a great deal. And he's very, very raw. He's a kind of player at this moment who will do something absolutely brilliant and then lose the ball the next 10 times he gets it. So this is not a ready-made Wilf Zaha replacement. This is a young talent that Palace are going to have to develop with a little bit of patience. Now, Roy Hodgson obviously did a fantastic job. Surprising, I thought, the way that he developed some of those young players with Palace last season. This is another raw talent who could give Palace fans lots of reasons to be cheerful, but be patient with him because there's not a lot there yet. This is all going to have to be developed.
OK, patience, the key word for Palace fans then. And Tim, just lastly, we've seen a couple of former Premier League players make moves overnight. Manuel Lanzini, one of those, Lucas Mora, another one. Tell us a little bit about their moves.
Yeah, Lanzini moves back to River Plate, where it all started. He will, I think, slot in very nicely to a really interesting side being built by once of Man City, Martin Demichelis. They can really make that ball fly, and you can see Lanzini adding things to there. Lucas Mora, he heads back to São Paulo in Brazil, where it started for him. He's teaming up with James Rodriguez, who's also just joined them, another former Premier League player. It's not really the move that Lucas Mora wanted. He was hanging out for Spain. Spain didn't come. The invitation was always there for São Paulo, and it looks like that's a short-term deal, and he's going to move on to Major League Soccer come the new year. But he will be greeted like the prodigal son, because when he left, he led Sao Paulo to titles. He was seen as a huge promise. I think he'd probably look back on his European adventure as a little bit of a disappointment. Didn't quite live up to the hype and the expectations. He had his moments, but maybe he was a player for moments more than for consistent performance.
Tim, always a joy to speak to you. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll chat to you soon.
Look forward to it. My pleasure. Thank you.